Jordan.
I'm Mia.
And this is
Let's Talk About It.
And our topic for today is...
I have a good topic for today.
Yeah,
My topic.
excited.
Yes. I think this topic is not talked about enough.
It's not.
Okay? And I need some info from other people to know whether or not I'm right and how I conduct this topic right here.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So the topic that I have for you today is what constitutes as a friendship. What is a friendship to you?
And the word friendship, that is such a broad word and can be used so loosely because relationships in general are very important.
Right.
Very important. So where you want to go and are trying to go, like who's in your circle, who you can call on, lean on. But it's hard. It's hard. So I'm gonna pass that one back off to you. What do you think constitutes a good friendship?
For me, a friendship is because when you're starting to be friends, it's hard. You don't know how much information you want to give out. You don't know how much you want to actually say to a person because you don't know if that person's going to be around. Now, I know for me, the older me, I was very reserved. So I didn't give out a lot of information. Now I'm like, blah, 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 and then I got to be like, wait a minute. I don't even know if this person's worthy enough to even know my business, So I've definitely had to, realize that just like a regular relationship, a friendship's the same way. You're courting, dating, getting to know each other, going out on, dates, female dates. Right. And then create memories. Yeah. And doing the same thing until you guys get married, I guess become besties. I don't know. Right. And I know, like, if I can share my own personal journey in friendships. When I was younger, and the people who I called my friends, when I look back, I'm like, I don't think those were really healthy friendships for me because there were a lot of things that I felt like I didn't even really know myself. So how can I expect someone else to really know me at that time? So it's not blaming anyone. It's just like I just didn't know who I was. Right. So it was hard for me to really have healthy relationships at that point. So now that I'm older, I have a better understanding of who I am. It is. I don't use that rule like I've known someone for years and I don't feel like because you've known someone for years that automatically constitutes a friendship. It's like, is there loyalty? Can we talk? Do we have the same interests, values? Can I call you when I need you? Can you pray for me? I think that's important too in your friendship. Yeah. Are your friends supporting you? And for me, there's also the topic about should friends support you, and do your friends have to support you? And I feel like yes, I feel like if you're my friend, you should support what I'm doing, and it's not that I shouldn't have to make you, or I shouldn't feel some type of way that it's like, oh, my friend didn't support me or they didn't acknowledge, because if we're really true friends and you're rooting for me and you're praying for me, then you are going to share that compassion and what I'm doing. You're going to be just as excited. Right. And like, for instance, if, like for me, I do skits. So if I got a skit coming out and my friend is not, or friends are not liking my skits or making comments, I'm like, are you really rooting for me for real? Right. It's just like, you see my stuff. You see it. You should be on it. You know what I mean? You see it. So the fact that you just see it and keep scrolling, we're supposed to be friends, homegirls. I feel like, no. I feel like your friends should support you, period. And also, we should be in communication. And there's a difference between friendships and associates. Yeah, and that could probably be a whole other topic of... Right, because there are people who I haven't talked to, but, we're not friends, but we're not enemies. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm cordial with everybody. The Bible says, love your neighbor as yourself. So I have love for everybody. But as far as who's in my circle, you have to be picky and choosy who's in your circle, because that will make and break your purpose, where you're going. Your relationships are so important. So the people who are in your circle should support you, should love on you, and
I feel like you should be in communication, because that's what a healthy relationship involves, is communication. So if you're not communicating, I'm sorry, I can't do that.
So you already know that leads us to the real meat of this topic.
Yeah.
Which is, like, for instance, I am really big on friendships. Like, if we're friends, I'm down for you. I'm going to be, it doesn't matter what you're trying to do, I'm going to be supportive. That means I'm liking your stuff, I'm sharing your stuff, I'm commenting on your stuff. Whatever direction you're trying to go into, any way I can help, that's what I'm going to be there for.
Right.
We got to ride down on somebody, I'm going to be there. You know, I'm a little small, so I don't know what much you can do, but I'll be there behind you, backing you up. But my thing is, I was having a conversation with another friend of mine, and she was talking about what it means to be a friend to her. And a couple of her things were like, if we're not in communication, we're not friends.
Yeah.
So that leads to the other question that I had, which is, if you guys aren't talking on a consistent basis, are you guys really considered friends? Really? Because, I mean...
So how do you feel about that? If you are not talking on a consistent basis, do you feel like that's your friend? Or are you okay with not talking for years or months and just be like, hey girl, what's going on? And call that still a friendship and you haven't talked to them?
I don't know. I feel like I'm in the middle with it. And I only say that because I have a friend who I had been friends with since fifth grade. And we went a couple years without talking with one another. But we finally picked back up. And I'm glad I didn't just like cut her off and like, oh, we're not friends, so we haven't talked to each other in years. However, when my friend, brought that to my attention, like, if we're not talking consistently, we're not friends, I do agree with that. Because if we're not talking, if you're finding out my info, my business from Facebook because I'm putting it out there, you don't know first, or you don't know period, then my thing is, you're just an associate, because you're finding out just like everybody else who's not in my life.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know how I can constitute you as a friend, and I've had to start thinking about it that way and saying, look, okay, I've known this person for so long, I got so many memories, and I'm a very sentimental person, so it's really hard for me to let go.
Right.
But it's just like, I can't keep doing that. I can't keep just keeping that person as a friend, but they're just a dead leaf.
Right.
You're not helping me grow. You're just there.
Yeah, and it's one thing to catch up with people. And there's people like that throughout our lives that we've known, that we grew up with, and you haven't seen them and you catch up. But catching up does not constitute a friendship to me. So I agree with you. I agree. I think that for me, what works best for me, the way my life is set up, and I know everyone's busy, has kids, working, and doing all these different things. But at the end of the day, you make time for people who are important to you and who you sow into and who sow into you. So I think for me, I definitely need that communication. Like, you should know what's happening. You should know what's going on. And like you said, if you're finding out stuff through social media and you can't pick up the phone and call me and say, hey girl, what you doing? Congratulations or something, then, I mean, that to me is not a friendship. Like, we should be healthy relationships, period. Involve communication.
So with friends like that, where you guys used to be close at one point, but then there's been some years,
right?
How does that go? Do you text them one day and say, you know what, after consideration, we're no longer friends because I haven't heard from you in a couple of years? Or do you just go ghosting? Or do you like what would that look like for you?
I think for me, is they fall in you. So obviously there's a reason why we haven't talked for years. Like, we're growing in different directions, right. And I'm a firm believer that there's different people for different seasons. And if you're in tune and you're praying and you're reading your word and people come into your life, that I believe that all people in my life are intentional. God will bring people in and He will send them out. So
right.
I think it's just for a season, and you have to be okay with that. And you know, in the word says, don't be attached to people and to things, you know. So it's like you have to really have discernment. I think, you know, pray and ask God, He, you know, who should be in your life, and He will reveal that to you.
But do you let them know that you're done with the friendship, or does it just
I think the relationship speaks for itself. It's like, you know, if I haven't talked to you, do I really need to even let you know? Right. Like, we don't even communicate for me to even owe you an explanation on anything. Right. So I think it's safe to say that you can catch up, and I think there's nothing wrong with catching up. You can catch up, and then you move on and keep it moving, because obviously if you grew apart, it's for a reason. They're going in one direction, you're going to another, so you don't want to be held back trying to keep friendships. That's old baggage, old luggage. You have to keep moving, and as you are continuing to pursue God, pursue your purpose, the right people will go along that journey with you. Right.
And I think it's important for people to really think about friendships and how important they are. You know, they don't value or understand the heaviness that friendships does to your life. You know? They think about their relationship and who they're in a relationship with, but not who you're, you know, friends with.
And that's important. Like, relationships will make or break your destiny, especially if you're in the wrong relationships. Intimate, if you're in an intimate relationship, and even, you know, girlfriends and, you know, all of those relationships are important. So.
All right, well, there it is.
There you have it.
For our rules for friendship, or not rules, but just...
so do you want to do like a quick recap on...
So, I mean...
some of the things. So, I think, you know, number one is friendship. All relationships require communication.
They do.
Communication, you know, and support. Like, you know, a friendship is not that different from an intimate relationship. It's just not, like you're not.
It's just not sexual.
It's not sexual.
That's it. But it's still an intimate relationship.
Right.
It's just not sexual.
Exactly. So, you know, the same rules apply. Like, you're not going to go without talking to your boyfriend for days and months and be like, oh, this is my boyfriend and he's been MIA for a month. No, you're not going to do that. So it's the same with the friendship. You know, it requires that communication. It requires that support. You have to nurture it so you can grow, you know, so you guys can grow together. And if you're growing apart, keep it moving, you know, keep growing. And, you know, God will bring the right people in your life.
And I also think it's important to point out that everybody's requirements for friendships are different. You know, my friend, she may be more stricter in her rules for friendships with her. So I know that if I'm going without communication with her for a while, I'm going to get dropped off. And if I consider her to be important to me, then I know that that's what is required to have a friendship with her. So just because somebody else has their own, I'm not saying their rules, but their own ways of dealing with friendships, doesn't mean that yours has to be the same way. I think it's important just to establish what's important to you.
That's so true.
And
what's important to you.
Stick to that. For me, for the longest, I used to always say, if we're not in contact, if we're not talking, we're not friends. How can we be friends if I haven't talked to you in years? But because I listened to so many other people and how friendships go,
and that was me,
or the memes of we can pick back right up where we left off. I don't want to pick up where we left off.
Girl,
from years
so much
ago.
has happened.
Like especially for me. Okay, my life. There's so much that's happened since I've seen her. Okay, which was what, 3 days ago. Okay, so I don't have enough time to catch you up. You don't have enough time for me to catch you up. So I think sticking to what's important to you is what matters the most. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this segment. If you have any ideas or what you think is important as having a friendship with you, drop them below so that we can take a look at it and maybe we'll talk about it next week. All right, we'll see you in the next Let's Talk About It.
Bye.